Resume Reader, Crow Song. Now, before we get into this chapter, there is a warning for graphic descriptions of night terrors. Now, on to Act 4, Chapter 47. A loud crash outside rattled the windows of Germany's room. He watched the torrential rain bash at the glass, desperately clawing away at the thin material. Germany ran a hand through his hair, looking back at his bright laptop screen. The blinking cursor taunted him on the blank open page, leaving him to rub his eyes under his glasses. A bright red 334 pierced the room, the only other light in the darkness. Germany tried to avoid looking around in fear of what he would see in the shadows. Demon? It's just a coat rack. Ghost lady? Some letters pinned to his corkboard. The pitter-patter of tiny feet running to his room, slowly getting louder. Germany stiffened, realizing that that last one was not anything mundane. Couldn't be rats, too loud and heavy. Couldn't be the rain, too slow for the fast lashing of the water outside. What is that? Germany held his breath as he tried to recognize the steps. Maybe one of his family members? But the steps and the rain and the thunder blurred together, making one strange cacophony of what the fuckery. Germany tried again. Those steps, they were definitely getting louder. The tired country grabbed the nearest thing on his overstuffed side table, which happened to be a pencil. Not exactly the greatest weapon, but it wasn't like Germany could ever bring himself to shoot someone or something like that. A knock on the door made his legs twitch and his laptop wobble. "Germany!" A small voice hissed from behind the door. Oh god, this intruder knew his name. What if it was a targeted assault, or a murderer? Did he even have anything someone would want? He was just an exhausted college student. The door cracked open, and his little brother's innocent face popped in. "Germany!" he repeated. Germany let out a relieved sigh, putting down the pencil he was holding somewhat threateningly. It was just his little brother. Thinking about how ridiculous he was being, Germany chuckled a bit, lifting his laptop off his lap and placing it on the wheelie chair near his bed, scooching it away and watching it spin. "What's up, Tiger?" Sylvie pushed open the door more, shuffling inside. Germany smiled at his cute tiger pajamas and slippers. His dad had gotten the whole family matching pajamas, everyone having a different animal and a different color, but the same pattern and general design. Sylvie had tigers on his pants and a big tiger face on his shirt, with a cream-colored top and purple-colored pajama pants. Germany, on the other hand, had ducks all over his pants, a big duck on his shirt, and the complementing color was a nice mint green. "I'm scared," Sylvie whispered, making Germany swing his legs over the side of the bed and open his arms for his little brother to run into. He propped Sylvie up on his leg and booped his nose to try and make him laugh, or at least smile. "Sylvie? Scared? You're the bravest kid in the world." Sylvie puffed out his cheeks and crossed his arms. "Okay, I'm not scared. I'm worried. Roosie's being bad again." "Oh, I see." Germany sighed, rubbing his eyes underneath his glasses as he immediately understood what he meant. Sylvie's room was the closest to Russia's, which was on the other side of the house of the rest of the family. Originally, that was Germany's room, and Sylvie had Germany's current room, because it was right beside their parents. But Sylvie wanted to be more independent, from their hovering dads, and Germany wanted a bigger room, so it was a happy compromise. However, the room change came with a hefty price. Russia suffered with night terrors since he was a little boy, but their parents didn't know he still had them. He wanted to hide them. That's one of the reasons he wanted a room away from his parents. He didn't want anyone to know. When Germany had a room next door, he found out and helped Russia cope with them by soundproofing his room to muffle the screams and yells from their parents, and helping be there for him when he pulled out of them. When Sophie moved in, the two had told him about it as to not scare or worry him if it happened, and told him to always go get Germany if it got bad. It was their little secret. "All right, come on, Tiger." Germany smiled softly, hauling Sophie up onto his back, making him giggle quietly. "Let's go save Big Brother." Trudging down the hall, through the upstairs lounge room, and to the other side of the house where Russia lay tossing and turning, Germany and Sophie remained silent. Even though he was young, Sophie understood the severity of the situation. Sometimes the night terrors could get to be so bad that Russia would hurt himself badly without thinking about it, which wasn't fun for anyone involved. The night terrors were difficult to deal with, not just for Russia. No one could touch him, console him, or really even talk to him. He wouldn't be able to recognize anyone and would just think he was being attacked, often lashing out and screaming if touched. Finally, the two reached the room. Germany could already hear the bed rocking slightly and the thumping on the walls, and the occasional muffled yelp. When Germany had first heard the noises, he thought Russia was doing something unsavory. The real reason was much worse. Putting Sophie down, Germany knelt down and put his hands on his shoulders. "Can you be a brave boy and stay in your room until I come out with Big Brother?" Sophie pouted. "But I want to help this time." Germany shushed him and pulled him in for a hug. No, you don't." The European country was trying to be strong for his little brother, but in reality, Russia's night terrors were terrifying. Seeing someone who rarely even ever shed a tear rip at his hair and cry and scream and lash out and dig into his skin with his nails wasn't a pleasant experience, and it definitely wasn't something a 6-year-old should see. Sophie huffed and stomped into his room, closing his door right behind him, making Germany slump. He didn't know if he was relieved that Sophie didn't have to see this, or stressed about what he now had to do alone. Germany turned to Russia's door and took a deep breath, listening to the sound of the storm over the turmoil within the room. He grabbed the doorknob and stepped inside, shutting his eyes as quickly as he clicked the door behind him to avoid letting out more sound. The crying was louder now, deep sobs punctured only by gasps and the occasional desperate cries for help. When Germany opened his eyes, he saw Russia sitting wide-eyed on his bed, whipping his head around to every corner of the room and rocking back and forth. He was wrapped in a fluffy blanket as he rocked back and forth, muttering things and screaming whenever he thought something might be touching him. He always kept his nails short to try and help his tendency to claw his skin, but Germany could see the pools of red where his nails were digging into his flesh. Germany took a sharp breath, and no matter how many times he'd seen it, the sight is still terrifying. Luckily for him, he knew exactly what to do. "I swear to God, you sons of bitches," Germany growled, as if he were talking to the monsters Russia thought were there. "I will turn on a goddamn light." Russia's main problem during his night terrors was he was too petrified to move from his bed to flip on the light switch and illuminate the room. And that really sucks, because the reason he thought he saw and felt monsters was because of his fear of the dark. So, Germany, as calmly as he could, flicked on the small light on the wall, causing any and all monsters to scutter back into the darkness and slip away from the burning light. Germany slowly approached his brother, sitting on the end of his bed, resisting the urge to comfort him. In such a state, Russia wouldn't recognize anyone and would probably just try to attack him like he did the first time Germany had found him like this. He just had to wait. A few minutes later, Russia had finally calmed down. Germany could tell because his eyes were closed. His breathing was more even, and he had stopped rocking. His brother slowly uncurled from his ball and looked at his arms with a frown, rubbing the fresh cuts he had made with his nails. "Maybe I should just get rid of my nails altogether," chuckled Russia in a hoarse voice. "What, just rip them off?" smiled Germany, trying to forget what he saw. "That would fix it, wouldn't it?" "Well, yes, but it would introduce a whole new problem. How the hell are you supposed to let Bella embarrass you with hot pink nail polish?" The two laughed at the memory. Last Christmas, Belarus had given Russia sparkly, hot pink nail polish as a joke, and he pretended to like it. Later that day, Belarus decided to take it a smidge further and ask why he wasn't wearing it, guilt-tripping him by nearly being in tears. Long story short, Russia ended up with sparkly nails, his real gift, and Belarus crying from laughter. Germany gave Russia a friendly pat on the leg. "What's wrong? You haven't had one this bad in weeks." Russia sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "I guess it's just my anxiety amplifying it. You know, with starting college now and the whole America thing." Germany shook his head with a smile. "America's a strange one, isn't he?" "That he is," Russia smiled back. They just sat for a bit, just breathing in the sudden quiet of the soundproofed room, the only noise being muted by the pitter-patter of the storm outside. "Sylvie wants to see you," Germany whispered, as though if he spoke too loudly, the peace would be ruined. Russia snickered. "Of course he does." "Want me to bring him in?" Russia shrugged, grabbing his pajama shirt from his bedside table and tugging it over his head, smiling at the cute bear face on it. He had always gotten too hot while sleeping, so he would just take it off. But he didn't want Sylvie to see what he did to his arms. Germany nodded and moved to the door, opening it only to have Sylvie fall on him with a surprised yelp. Germany chuckled as he caught him, shaking his head patronizingly. "Were you trying to listen through the door?" Sylvie pouted and crossed his arms. "Maybe." His two older siblings laughed, and Germany let go of Sylvie to close the door, allowing the boy to jump into Russia's arms and snuggle into his chest. "Ты твоя ки!" Sylvie asked, looking up at his brother with big eyes. The Russian roughly translates to, "Are you okay?" Zigda. Russia grinned at him. The Russian translates to, "Always."
Я не могу поверить, что ты сказал обо мне, маленький негодяй.
That translates to, "I can't believe you told on me, you little rascal." Sylvie giggled and pushed Russia's hand away, poking his tongue out at him. "Shouldn't you go to sleep now, Tiger?" asked Germany in amusement, sitting on the bed as Sylvie turned to him. "But I don't want to go back to my room," Sylvie whined. "I want to stay with Midfield." That nickname translates to bear. Russia and Germany smiled at each other as Russia rolled his eyes affectionately, and Germany shook his head. "All right, then," Russia said, wrapping his arms around Sylvie, making his little brother squeal. He dead-weighted himself onto the pillow and pretended to sleep, snoring loudly. Sylvie squirmed, trying to escape when Germany piled on top of both of them with all his weight, making his brothers groan and laugh. "I hate you both," grumbled Sylvie, squirming around harder while he grinned. "No, you don't," Germany teased as he ruffled his youngest brother's hair, and Russia pulled him in tighter, the three of them all fitting easily on Russia's large bed. Eventually, Sylvie stopped squirming, his breathing evening out to a steady pace as his eyelids grew heavy. He turned around and curled into Russia, burying his face in his shirt and falling into a deep sleep, exhausted from the night's events. Germany smiled and sighed in relief, rolling off the two of them and sitting up, rubbing his eyes under his glasses. "You're not going back to work, are you?" whispered Russia, raising an eyebrow. Germany shrugged. "I need to get a head start on my assessment. New university and all. I'm actually glad you convinced me to do this with you. I've been wanting an excuse to do something like this for a while. And an excuse to not leave, of course." Russia rolled his eyes. "You can do that in the morning." "Yeah, but..." "No buts. You haven't slept in days." Germany raised an eyebrow and chuckled. "Do I look that tired?" "No, but you're too good at hiding that for anyone to tell," snorted Russia. "You have a tick. When you're really tired, you rub your eyes. I'm guessing it's because they're starting to get blurry." Germany frowned. "Do I?" "You've done it a lot." The black, red, and yellow country hummed, getting up and stretching. He looked down at his brothers cuddling. Russia's eyes looked heavy as well. He sighed and rubbed his eyes. He took off his glasses and placed them on Russia's desk, putting a knee up on the bed. "Move over, you slug," Germany snickered, making Russia grin and shuffle over with Sylvie in his arms, groaning slightly from the disturbance. Germany flopped onto the bed, chucking a decorative pillow at Russia's head, making his slightly younger brother chuckle. He snuggled into the other pillows as he grabbed the fluffy blanket Russia was previously using that was now hanging on Russia's bed frame and threw it over Sylvie and himself. He didn't bother throwing anything over Russia, knowing he would get too hot if it was on him. He threw an arm over Sylvie and kissed his head, finally letting himself give in to drowsiness. "Доброй ночи," breathed Russia, silently praying he wouldn't have another night terror. He had never had 2 in a row before, but hey, can't be too careful. The Russian roughly translates to good night. Germany smiled and reached over a slumbering Soviet to pat Russia's shoulder comfortingly. Gute Nacht, brother. So se torma. The German roughly translates to good night, brother, sweet dreams. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to join the Discord, which is linked down in the description below. That being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just enjoy your time. And I will see you tomorrow.